Hello, welcome back, and today this thing needs a new shell. Now, part of this is because this has just got chopped up and smashed. Part of it's because I was watching a video earlier where this thing had a full shell on and it just looked a little bit sad. So we're going to sort that out. Now, this is quite a thick shell. It's a Proline Dodge Ram. Very, very sturdy, probably really good for me. And my choice of shell, wherever I've put it, is maybe not the cleverest, but let's just give it a quick weigh. So bearing in mind this is about, at best, about 2/3 of a Proline shell. This weighs 90 grams with paint. I have here a brand new full shell that weighs 69 grams, and that's with the paint protection film and everything else on it. This is a uncut shell as well, so that will be a much lighter. It's a Mon-tec Rock Body, and it's a little bit awkward looking, but I quite like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start prepping this. I'll let you take a sneak peek at the Class 3 rails from Northwest Scalar Designs. These are team issue only. You can probably see there is a massive angle on the skid. It's just awesome. It sits beautifully. It's got the copperhead in it with a 6-shooter motor. I've managed to get my hands on some landmines, and it's got my 3D printed gearbox that gives you 33% overdrive. I love it. It drives like an absolute beast, and there'll be more on this later. But for now, I need to pop it down somewhere safe, which that is close enough. Now, when you're painting a shell, a lot of people will tell you to warm up your paint cans for maximum adhesion, and they will tell you to wash this out with soap and water and everything else. And you should, because that's sensible. But I am going to try something different. Some people say that isopropyl alcohol will get rid of the grease, the same grease that washing up liquid will get rid of. So I'm going to use fast drying contact cleaner, which is essentially compressed air and isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to give it a little spray. Okay, a big spray. And a little wipe out. Now the wiping is just to wipe off any grease that's been lifted by that isopropyl alcohol. Get rid of any dust as well. That's on the outside, I hope. Yeah. Now, I don't envisage this shell lasting very long, so this one is an experiment, but these are super cheap. But the first thing we're going to do is get my decals ready. Okay, I didn't catch too much of that on camera because I am not a fan of putting these stickers on. I am absolutely terrible at it, and I was just too embarrassed. So now we have our stickers on. I've got some fresh scissors somewhere, handily kept on my wardrobe. And it's just because I've been using my other Lexan scissors to cut cable ties and all kinds of other things, so they've gone a bit blunt. So I treated myself to some fresh ones. I've got a nice curved pair, a nice straight pair. This body is almost perfectly square edged, so that's quite cool. I've already had it sat on the car to kind of check it, so I'm just going to go for it. Let's see what happens. Cool. So we've got some Lexan there that we're going to use for some testing, and we've got a shell chopped. So the next stage is to just blow out any dust. And I have here some airbrush paints, and I'm hoping this is going to work. So these say shake for about 30 seconds. So let's take a look and see. We'll use the lightest colour first, because that's easiest. Let's see if you can brush with this stuff, because normally it's misted, but if I brush lightly enough, it should actually allow me to hand paint the inside of this shell, and that allows me to do some really silly effects. Now the idea I've had is to just cover this and just let it drip. And then once it's dripped on, let it run. And this paint's actually thicker than I expected. But once it's run, we're going to dry it out. And then we're going to try a different colour. Well, we're part way through, and I've been flicking paint at this thing for about the last hour. Some of it's quite dry, some of it's not. I started with the purple and the blue, then went for a bit of green, getting lighter, then went with orange and salmon-y colour, and then we're going to drop some yellow on. I'm just going to try and knock the paint around a bit more, dry the shell out a bit more before I go with the yellow. But it's looking, who knows if the camera's picking it up, but it's looking awesome. It's got a proper, just splattered, crazy vibe around it. I'm going to put a lot of the dark colours around the bottom, get a lot of the light colours on the top to really make it look a lot sleeker. It's not going to be sleek, is it? It's just going to be crazy. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun. It's been nice having the heater on as well. So, time for me to carry on, and we'll see where we get to. Okay, so started off flicking the paint on with the brush, then dripping a bit of paint on, then dripping a bit more paint on, then just pouring paint into the shell and tipping it around. So if I pick this up right now, I don't know if the camera will pick this up, but this is dripping with bright yellow paint at the moment. That's picked up a little tinge of orange, so we've got a bit fluorescent, a bit kind of like yellowy. We've got almost full coverage on the top of the shell, and it looks amazing. I found that I can just hold the shell right in front of the heater and everything dries out, and the shell doesn't seem to be twisting or bending as of yet. So that's awesome. Right, well, it's had about 24 hours to dry. I've had the heater blowing on it most of the day because some of the paint has kind of blobbed where I've done this kind of technique, but doesn't it look amazing? Now, I've got my little craft knife and I'm just going to peel off these windows. Hopefully it's not too soon. We will soon find out. You've got to do it kind of before the paint completely dries, but not while it's still too wet. So that's one. That's not too bad. Yeah, that's bled a little bit, but I'm not too precious. And that is the painted shell. Now there should be a paint protection film on this. I'm really hoping there is, because I wasn't that careful under the assumption there was a paint protection film. And what that should do when I remove that, just make sure my fingers are nice and clean, is get rid of any overspray or overblobs, but most importantly we will see the true colour of this thing. Check that out. I don't even know if that's going to come out on camera as well as it looks in real life, but that is so cool. I'm really happy with that. Really happy with that. Few little bleeds, but I can sort those out later. I'm not going to try and remove them now. What I'm going to try and do is let the paint cure a little bit. Probably put it under the heater again tomorrow just to really cure it. But for now, oh, voice is going. For now, let's see how it looks on the truck. So I knew this shell wasn't going to be quite wide enough. So what I'm going to do is just let it spread naturally. And also, I thought it would fit on these rails, but sure, I test fitted it. So yeah, I might be trimming these rails down anyway. Because they were a bit big. And in fact, that might be the thing that I do now, because if I trim the amount of the rails that I'd thought about, this shell's going to fit perfectly. Yeah, there we go. Right, hopefully that's enough that this will just slot on now. So the shell is fitting beautifully on the rear. On the front, just trying to decide if I cut holes for the suspension or whether I just mount it as it is. I have thought about changing these sliders, so I don't want to necessarily cut those holes for the shock towers to stick through, although it is a look that I do like. Yeah, I think I can get it that low, which feels just about right. I think any lower and I'm going to have to cut a lot out of it. So we're going to go for about there. I'm going to grab my mounting system and see where we get to. Well, that's it. I am going to hard mount this body. It's going to sit on here I've cut some holes in my handiwork because the stealth mounts just weren't filling me with confidence. I can still reach in and change batteries, just like I did with my other shell. That's got the body much lower, still not as low as I'd like because the sliders are just sticking out a little bit, but that is now the Team Edition rails and the new body. I am super happy, and that will do. Catch you next time. Cheers.